In 2012, 93% of black voters voted for President Obama over Mitt Romney. Today, nearly 8 out of every 10 black voters say they'll vote for Hillary Clinton in November over Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is doing what he does best, reaching out to non-traditional Republican voters, putting some skin in the game, inviting black voters to vote for his policies, which he says will be better for jobs, education, and safety than Hillary Clinton's. Take a look.
But we have an aggressive, robust campaign and strategy that we have towards the African-American community that is a combination of faith-based, education, grassroots, door-to-door, using media as well, major media buys in key markets, because we really do have a lot of work to do in this area, but we're committed to do the work that we need to earn their vote for Donald J. Trump.
Joining me now is Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke. Sheriff, thanks for being here, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, we just heard Donald Trump's campaign is actually doing something actively to reach out to the black community, even though, at least in recent history, Republicans have not gained a very large percentage of the black vote. But you, Sheriff, you recently said, you wrote, quote, "My message to America's black community, it's time to leave the Democratic Party." Why do you say that, sir?
Well, you know, you hear from groups like, or this ideology, Black Lives Matter, and they talk about oppression and exploitation. Too many black people in America, in the American ghetto, have been exploited by failed urban liberal policies. Donald Trump has proven over and over again that he can bring people together. When you accomplish some of the sort of projects that he has, you have to bring disparate groups together. He knows how to do that. The biggest challenges facing the black community right now are a lack of meaningful jobs. I'm talking meaningful, not transition jobs. I'm talking about failed K-12 public schools that their kids are shackled to, which Donald Trump says he's a supporter of the voucher program or school choice. And the third thing is crime and violence. Even though these struggling people in the black community, are dealing with things like massive unemployment, and they may be uneducated and undereducated, but they still deserve a peaceful existence. None of this stuff has happened under President Obama. Mrs. Bill Clinton has made it clear that she will be the third term and continue the policies of Barack Obama, and that spells doom, continued doom for the black community.
Right, but I guess the sticking point here, and I want to ask your opinion on this, every time a black man or a black woman breaks with the Democratic Party, if you will, and there's so many examples of this, Stacey Dash, C.J. Pearson, every time a black person breaks with the Democratic Party, they're ostracized. Why? Why does this happen?
Well, that's that plantation politics, that plantation mentality. Look, the liberals in the Democrat Party, they give certain black people license to go out and metaphorically, politically lynch people like Stacey Dash, people like myself. All I am, and I speak for myself, I'm an independent thinker. I'll arrive at my own conclusions to things. I don't follow the crowd. I strip things down. I'll drill down into something. I'll peel the layers back and come up to these conclusions or positions, I should say, on my own. On the other hand, if you look at this monolithic voting pattern of Democrats voting for, of blacks voting for Democrats in massive numbers, what has gotten better? Nothing. The things that I talked about. The quality of life has not improved. The jobs numbers are still deplorable. The schools are still failing. Poverty is now generational. What's going to happen if that figure is true, that 8 in 10 will vote for Mrs. Bill Clinton, that spells doom for her. Even at 90%, she needs, let's forget about the percentages, she needs volume. She needs masses of black people to go to the polls in November. She has to outpace Barack Obama, who set the record for the number of black voters that showed up in 2008. And in 2012, he surpassed that record number to a new high. She will not be able to do that. She is not emotionally connected to the black community. She does not get black people.
Right, and I would argue that that's nearly impossible to do. I mean, 93%, you barely get 93% of anybody to agree on one issue. But Sheriff, like you were saying, the poverty rate among specifically inner city black people is so high under Obama. The unemployment rate has not improved. Labor force participation rate for blacks, especially the younger generation, is very poor. Why don't young black people specifically, the younger generation, why don't they recognize this and think in the way that you're talking about? Look at the facts for themselves and decide which presidential candidate has the policies that will best improve their quality of life.
Well, part of it is that poverty has become a lifestyle, and there's a comfort zone that too many people, not all black people, I'm talking about too many they found comfort in living in generational poverty, and so they just go ahead and move along with the crowd. What I try to tell black people, I don't tell them who to vote for. I don't tell them, which way to vote, which political party. I say, open your eyes, understand what's going on, peel the layers back, see where you're at today, see where the generation before you was at, look at your family situation. Nothing has gotten better, and this has all been with a monolithic drumbeat every 4 years for President of the United States, and it usually ends up being with the Democrats. Now, young people are a little easier to manipulate, and that's why I said if there's any exploitation going on within the black community, it's by the failed Democrat policies who play the fear card. They say, oh, if you vote for Republicans, and I don't tell black people to vote Republican. I say, make your own decision, come to your own conclusion. But the Democrats play that fear. They drag out that if you vote for Republicans, all of this government largesse, all of this welfare state will end for you, and that's a very fearful thing to somebody who can't sort things out for themselves. But I'm telling you right now, over time with a message of outreach, and you mentioned Donald Trump, he's not going to leave anybody behind in terms of whose vote he's trying to seek, and he's made it clear. And he's also demonstrated, and that's the thing, in his hiring practices, he's hired a lot of different demographics within, including women, including blacks, including Asians, into his ranks to get these projects done. That's the face of America. Donald Trump's smart enough to know if you're a businessman, you got to be able to see beyond that nonsense if you're going to get a project done.
Right, and I think that's what we've seen. Sheriff Clarke, thank you so much for being here, sir. Your insight is greatly appreciated. I hope to talk to you again soon. All right, guys, what do you think? Are Democrats exploiting the black community just to gain their votes? Let us know on Twitter at Liz_Wheeler. Meantime, we'll be right back.